Experience channel. And welcome. Here I have my two lovely co-hosts here, April Williams and Kathy D. All righty then. Yay, you found it, you found it. YouTube has been playing like this is Easter. This is like an egg hunt trying to find this channel, but that's all right. Because when it's meant for you, you'll find it. So, all right, we got a good topic today, which I'm not going to even try to say I'm the expert of. And I'm going to turn it over to April to talk about it. It did not come up when I changed it. It's what it's called,
figuring, surfing, surfing, transurfing, transurfering, trans, like suffering,
okay,
suffering.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, and back to you in the studio.
I'm so glad I picked this topic, for I too do not understand what I'm in constant seeking of. So I came across this really awesome, meme, straight up. It was a meme. It was a very long worded meme. Nonetheless, it was very intuitive of what the next state is. And because we all have some tech difficulties, maybe we could get Bonita on this one. I can't even open my phone. What is this about? Okay, I'm going to read you what it says. If you want to have the best possible experience, set an intention to align with the best possible reality. The thought behind this theory of reality transurfing, it says transurfing inside the side note, is as follows. Being that we live in a multi-dimensional reality, there are infinite possibilities as to how life can play out. Your alignment with these realities is heavily dependent upon your vibration, your actions, and the thoughts you hold in your mind. If you can align and discipline all three of those areas, uphold that elevated state for extended periods of time, and pair it with the intention to align with the best timeline possible, it will only be a matter of time before you are amazed by just how powerful your soul really is. And I can say that from the very beginning, in our very first episode, we're sitting here talking about mission. We've been talking about inner union and forming this relationship with yourself that you can be honest with yourself. Women, I'm noticing, are very serious. Even when we're playing, we take our play very seriously. So in that sense, there is a lot of energy and intention that goes with everything that female energy does, because it's constantly manifesting universe. We are portals. We are carrying portals. And those of us that are healing from different aspects of our different traumatic aspects of our lives, we've been talking about realigning with our purpose. And Divine Sunshine, you used to say this all the time. It was having compassion for yourself first, or something along the lines of making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Now, we have redefined and defined and then redefined self-care on this channel. Mm-hmm. We've gone into the depths of journaling purgatory.
Say what?
We've meditated ourselves out of body, in body, and then it just hurts when we can't even breathe anymore from our deep breath exercises. So in this period of the ultimate arrow pullback, the retrograde of all retrogrades, I mean, I was feeling it. Things were breaking. Stuff was flying across the room. I have bruises. I don't know how I got them. And exes be calling. People be appearing in dreams. Angel numbers. What? So basically, all that fun stuff, in addition to, how about holding our vibration? How about holding our thought? And it's only as we kind of ping pong these ideas back and forth to each other, and we start to actually enjoy our lives and enjoy who we are in our lives, that it opens up into what it is we really want to create. Oh, so happy. Okay, so how are we going back to our realignment? And it all starts with, what's the dream? What is the intention? Where is the area you're going? Now, I really like to go deep into, when it comes to dreaming and creating, I really like to go deep into the journaling on that. But when you're releasing trauma and stuff like that, as much as I've been over stuff over and over again and tried to weep it out, and that part gets old. You actually have to change it. You actually have to do something about it in order to shift that vibration. So let's talk about shifting vibration. Well, who's the biggest shifter?
I've been known to be a little shifty, but one of the things is, if you want, your life to change, you have to change. You want your relationships to change, you have to change. You want your health to change, you have to be the one to change. You change your eating habits, you change your exercising, you change the type of people you go out with, you change the people you surround yourself with. That's like the biggest thing with, changing our energy and keeping it at that high point, like you said. And then you were talking about the journaling, and my friend Michael, and I don't know if you can see his book. Awesome book.
Oh, cool.
I did. I just plugged for my buddy, even though there's no sponsorship on this channel.
As of yet.
We got
to transurf that.
Yeah, but it's the automatic writing experience. And I have done automatic writing years ago, and it's just wonderful. And you're going into a meditative state, but you're half awake. So you're still in that half dream state, half awake state when you do it. And sometimes you don't get anything, and you just start writing. Why am I writing? Why am I doing this? This is crazy. And then all of a sudden it'll be like, you're loved. And you just keep writing. And as you write and you journal, and then you finish your time. And you just keep writing.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
I didn't know if baby did something or I did something.
No, he just wiped spaghetti all over my white blanket.
Oh. Another plug, if you have it there in Hawaii, it's called Zout. It gets everything out. We're also not sponsored by Zout, but we should be.
By the end of today's program, one of us will be sponsored, and I'm thinking I might know who it is.
But back to the journaling, it's just a really neat way to bring in that higher level consciousness when we meditate. It just is amazing. Yes, David, you would love this book because he talks about the angels.
And what's it called again? Put it up.
It's called Awe.
Awe, the automatic writing experience by Michael Sandler.
Yeah, and this is Michael. If you don't know who he is, absolutely amazing man, has had 2 major near-death experiences, was a runner and all this kind of stuff. He has, I think it's like 2 titanium knees, 2 titanium hips, pretty much told him he'd never run again, never, barely be able to walk. He started the whole barefoot running kind of thing, the craze, and the walking. He lived out in Maui for years. Very cool. And they now travel the country in their RV, and just the things he talks about, being able to call in not only, higher self, but he calls in his guides. He's able to call in his animal guides, his animal spirits. just the things that he's able to have figured out. And one of the things on his actual show that he and his wife do, he talks about going into, he calls it his space capsule. We refer to it as a bubble, our protection.
Oh, okay.
And he calls it a space capsule. And you can kind of, as he explains it, he gets so excited about it. And you can almost see like this little boy sitting in the space capsule, just ready to take off. But, and he talks about when we're manifesting things, we've got to be able to feel it and, taste it and see it and hear it and use all of our senses. And we need to go in and do that sense of play. And it's, he just has a wonderful thing. And, you think, oh, this sounds great. And you're listening to him and he's really high vibe. He's just wonderful. You're having a bad day. Just put him on and listen. And he just brings up your vibration. And he and his wife have been looking for an RV and a truck forever to travel around the country. And so they went into their space capsule and they did the whole thing. They walked around the RV. They wanted double pane glass. They wanted to make it a studio, whole 9 yards. Well, anyway, they always said they move around with ease and grace. That's their theme about their being on the road, ease and grace. Well, come to find out, the RV they buy from these other people was named Grace. And the truck, the dually that they got to pull the RV was, what was it? They called it something like Easy Ride or something. So they actually got a truck that is ease and the RV is grace. And
awesome.
Come on, you talk about being able to do that and some manifestation. That is just some amazing stuff. They also have a pet rooster, and that's absolutely hysterical. If you've ever, Ruru is, and he'll get up in Michael's lap, and Michael will be doing the podcast petting this rooster, and the rooster sits there. But the whole thing with the journaling is it takes you to that in-between state, that awake state, but still that asleep state. And you just write. And what comes out. And sometimes you get nothing. Sometimes you just get a few words. Sometimes you get beautiful long lines of poems and lyrics and really deep understanding. And, it just is where you are and where you need to be.
What's really nice about automatic writing, and it's to a certain extent lithomancy, I think that's what it's called, when you open a book to a random page and you read a random phrase, and it's usually very, very prophetic in its nature. It's just it's another form of reading, and it offers you to get into a state where you are not letting your mind control, but allowing it to access function. Right? Often we want our mind to kind of somehow make logic and reason of what our situation is, when in reality, once you detach from that, but the mind is still running, you start to attract. And I really enjoy the idea of the seed mantra. I called it earlier when I was texting a friend, just putting in something simple that you can repeat that makes it your state of grace. Now, you may not necessarily have it tangibly in front of you, like the tasting and the smelling. But once you start to allow yourself to get into it and your mind isn't so attached to what's happening right now or what I'm afraid of from the past, or what I'm anticipating for the future. Once you kind of get out of that.
How am I going to get there? How is it going to happen? That's, I think, probably the biggest downfall so many people have.
And they want to classify so badly. Like the ego just starts tripping up, especially when there's trauma and, stuff like that involved. The ego loves to kind of just cut you back down to size, right? Nobody needs to be cut down to size. What if it was a revolutionary act to actually be supportive of yourself? It actually is, right? Because there's so much out there wanting you to think that you aren't the one when you are the one. Now, you're not necessarily the one to everyone, but you are the one for you where you are right now. So let's pick a seed mantra for the week. That'll be something we'll come up with at the end. After this whole thing, we'll have a seed mantra for the week, and then we can come back together and see what we manifested this week.
And he talks about something. I'm talking about your seed mantra and how well that that works, you know, because he goes into that about having the one thing that you say over and over again, and so many people talk about it. But now he's one of the first on the whole journaling and on the automatic writing that has brought it into the 21st century, brought it into a here and now. I mean, we've heard about Dickens doing it. We've heard about all these other people. But then we hear about Van Morrison talks about his, what is it? I got it right here. It's his album Astral Weeks was all written through automatic writing.
Cool.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers, their first album titled Automatic Writing, and then their second AW2, all done through automatic writing. Wow. So it's something that's still being done. Artists were, especially the, which one is he? I gotta find him now because I should know this, being an art major. Salvador Dali. Yeah, Salvador Dali was the big one. And but there's the other one. Where's my guy? Let's see. The father, where is it? The 7 Sermons to the Dead by Carl Jung was done that way. Notes on automatic writing. Sigmund Freud even dabbled a little bit in it. The father of surrealism, Andrew Breton, was very big. All of his paintings were done in an automatic writing state. So he didn't automatic write, he automatic painted. He just kind of went with, you know, he was in this meditative state. He kind of envisioned and just kind of then let his body take over the brush.
That's interesting. And I do that too, even with my drawings. When I do, I call them channel paintings, and my hand will take like, no. And then sometimes I'll hear the person speak like, no, you made my cheekbones too high. It's not like that. My face is longer. Do it this way. Or I'll do, and I'll just start. And I'm just like, okay, who is this? What the? Oh, okay. All right. So I've done a couple of those like that. And that's interesting. I'm glad to know that is a form of automatic writing too as well. When I was younger, I was very good at that because I remember I could do things and people were like, what you doing? You ain't even looking at the paper. And I was shocked because I didn't know what that was. But now I see that's something. I was just talking to Spirit while you was talking. It's like, you still have it. You just got to go back and practice that again. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought that just flew away. But that is, and then you just mentioned about the art. So that's like they're saying, see, she just confirmed it for you. You still do it. So that's one way of doing that. Right now with these things that we have, especially when we're talking about retrograde, we'll integrate that together with the transurfing that's going on. Is one thing I've seen DMAC put over there on the side is a book that's called where is it at? In case people are interested.
Transurfing in 78 days.
Yeah, in 78 days, transfer doing that. That's one. If some people like that tangible, I got to read something. I'm more of a visual. Like sometimes I can read and sometimes it does. But anyway, we're not on that. But those things, that is good. And he was saying that how powerful it is to be able to use that ability as well for you to do that. It's very important when you talk about the retrograde, which I think about. I think that was in Cassidy, where she's saying retrograde is a time for us to do all the the re-pattern, revisiting, everything that you can do that starts with a researching, which again is finding other things and helping us with this moment so that when we get out of this slow period where we're cocooning and getting ourselves getting back to ourselves, that we can be able to work on this manifestation. Because I think a lot of us up until this time, the manifestation power, especially with the COVID and things that happen, that's kind of been put on, they're showing me, a shelf. And some of the things has been kind of like a slow crawl. And now as we're getting our way back to the world, that gift has been now saying, okay, we got to bring that back to the forefront. We got to make that more stronger than ever so that when we do go back in the world, some of us got to make and manifest those possibilities because things have changed. It's not the way the world that we had left it before pre-COVID. It's not the same world we're returning to. And so that's a good thing at this time and place that we are introducing that manifestation skill, because Spirit is leading me to tell them that it's going to be needed. We need to research and find other ways in which we can be able to create our new reality, not returning back to the same reality as well. And I think a lot in the news, in the propaganda of things, they keep on like, okay, we're gonna return back. No, ain't no returning back. Them days is over with. Like I told the kids,
Well,
going back to school. There's a different researches of how it's going to appear, the way we move and have our being, and how we interact with it. It's going to have some familiarities of it, but there's still going to be a layer of something different, and that manifestation power is something that is very much going to be needed. Yes, April.
Here on the scene, I have word that the powers, air quotes, powers that be, are repeating the phrase return back, just as they repeated the phrase act of terrorism or act of terror, right? Because they're wanting to get people to give them their energy. And the whole point of us doing this program is to reawaken you to you, so that you don't give away your power anymore.
Right.
So when we are reminding ourselves of our own power, going into a state that is kind of like opposite. How do you put yourself in a trance, right? Anybody? Some people dance, because I was thinking about what you were saying, the automatic dance.
Well, even swaying is enough to get you into a transic state. Breathing,
breathing,
you know,
breathing,
dancing, drawing,
Yeah.
any repetitive movement.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever done any kind of, especially as a teenager, as a job, and you've got one of your first jobs, and you've ever done anything repetitive like scanning groceries, or in my case, I was a cucumber nubber, and I love that.
We're both like,
a cucumber nubber that's when you. I worked for Roddenberry Pickles, and so the farmers would bring in all the cucumbers that they had grown for Roddenberry, and they would be dumped onto a conveyor belt, and we would sort them by size. We would nub them out. But you're just repetitively moving like this and watching the sizes. Whatever, if you're near the gherkins, those are the ones you're pulling out, and the next ones, and you're just, and you would just lose track of time. It would just be like, because you're in that repetitive state.
Just the word nubbin is just so funny. It's so cute. I can't.
I was a cucumber nubber. That was my first job at 14. I was a nubber. But
put that on your resume.
I know. That thing was for many years. It was before you get out of that 10-year bracket,
Right. It was like, okay, the conversation. I know you're looking at me strange, right?
I know that they started the most recent down, and they get right there by education and go, cucumber number. And you're like, yeah. Roddenberry, but I'm confused,
Okay.
You start somewhere. I do that while I'm driving sometimes. I mean, I don't fully check out, but I'm still there. And so
we're on autopilot.
The point of that is to create a visual, something tactile for the audience to grasp onto when this is the state you're going to be in when you're writing. When you're automatic writing, or automatic dancing, or automatic drawing, or automatic writing music. These states, they often bring in really profound information. Like I remember reading about Edison, and he would have a lot of his visions and stuff like that, and inventions come to him in those in-between states. Did all those inventions work out? Not necessarily, but some of them really did. Or Tom, was it?
Yeah, was that
Franklin too? Was it Franklin too, though?
Franklin used some.
Because that's how I ended up getting my child's
George
Washington of his names.
He had a whole bunch of things with the peanut.
Well, think about it. What do we do to a child when we want them to go to sleep? We what? We rock them.
Rock them.
All right. Now, we all know that they're in their little bubble, in their little sauna. And so there is swaying as they're growing inside of their mother, but not to the force that, we're rocking, And so it is that repetitive motion that puts them into that trance, because, and if they fight it, and they fight it hard. And usually you get that, I'm not tired. I'm not tired. And they're out, so, but we do it all the time. The repetitive motion is something that we've done since birth.
Yeah, I think about a lot of religions that's out there, though they believe in rocking and for you to be
use it for
dancing, the swirling around, which I don't know which really, I don't want to be disrespectful. They do a lot of dancing in the twirl, and that's the way to get them into a trance too. I can see them with the cat.
Well,
the whirling dervish, dervish.
Thank you.
And even some of the ones that with the praying where they're down and then they're up and then they're down and then they're up.
Right, that's true.
It's just all repetitive motion.
Well, that's why creating a ritual of your life, you can adapt this process to anything that you're doing, even if it's just brushing your own hair or something. You can create this space for yourself throughout the day to keep reinforcing this wavelength, right? Because it allows you to create with detachment. And that's often some of the keys that we're working to unlock for manifestation. And the beauty of being in a daze or going down the rabbit hole, daydreaming, is that you're actually calling in something that will actually suit you versus resisting based on what you think you should be having or think you should be doing, or spaghetti sauce everywhere.
Well, and that's where we also have to learn in that state to enjoy being in that state of that daydream and not worried about how we got there. How is it going to happen? It's just one of those, enjoy the moment, enjoy that manifestation. And in this retrograde, they're telling us that we're going back 35 years, 18 years. I don't know. I remember I figured it up because I was 13. I was 20. I don't remember. Then it was 5 years. So I was 43. And then they say 2 and 1. The one significant thing, and I'm going to call my partner in crime, Benita, out on this, that we were talking about this. The one thing that I remember that stands out significantly with those timelines was 13. We had just moved from Florida to South Carolina. I was missing home. At 20, I started looking at my life and going, is this all there is? Where's home? And then, as we progressed on the other dates, there was something significant that had happened with having to do with home. And then, the 2 years I actually found where home was.
Okay.
And then a year ago, I was still trying to figure out how to regain home.
Okay.
So for me, those timelines, those are the things I have to revisit, which is very interesting because right now, because physically my home is on the market, I am now looking for a physical brick and mortar home, opposed to when I look back at those now, I realize what I was looking for at those points were my spiritual home. And once I found where my spiritual home was, then it became the importance of getting out of this home and being in my own home.
Okay.
So being able to see that, to be able to then be spiritually home and in a dwelling that I call home, I have to leave this one. That's why it's up for sale. So to be completely home. And so I think that's interesting. If you look at the timelines and you go back, and for anybody's trying to do the math, I'm 48. Yeah. So that kind of tells you. But it's interesting that those timelines all click back to home.
Okay, now what was oh, my pillow didn't fell. Okay, what was the time that I would like to visit that? What's the times again? It
It
was
was
years or is just your
it
age?
was 35,
Okay.
35 years ago,
Mhm.
18 years ago. Benita, if you can remember, help me out, dear. Because we were looking at something I saw. 35, 18, 12, 35, 18, 12,
Okay.
5, 2, and 1. So 35 years ago, what were you doing? 18
Well,
years ago, what were you doing? 12 years ago, and then 5 years ago, 2 years ago, and 1 year ago.
mm, mm. Wow. Okay.
And I had never
Now,
been.
how did you guys come up with those ones?
Okay, it's 13. It's
18.
not 12. It's 13.
That's why I thought you said 13. I was like, hold
Yeah.
on a second now.
Yeah. 35, 18,
Oh,
13.
yeah, that is a real good timeline to look at. A couple of them look like it's all for love for me. Okay, but I got you. Where is my identity and love?
And she said,
Yeah.
was it 12 or 13? So 12 or 13. Look at those two, 12 or 13 years ago. I'm sure they kind of will lend
So
some information to you.
these were given to you. These numbers were given to you in that state.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then I've had other people confirm it. So there have been other readers and things that have also confirmed looking back at those timelines, because that's what we're revisiting. That's what's being brought back up for us to, as however long it takes us to work through what the things were. And I think a lot of it depends on how much inner child work and stuff you've done. So like I said, I was real easy and quick to go, okay, it was this age, I was this age, I was this age, I was this age. What went on here? Oh, that's when we just moved. Oh, there's that. Oh, there's that. Oh, and it all fell right into line that it was all around home, either spiritually. And now at the end of it is the physical brick and mortar. And so it's going to be the union of both my spiritual or my soul home and my physical home or dwelling safety.
And so that's how you can find out what's your theme. That can find out what you're working with in the retrograde with doing all what Cassidy saying, the reteaching, relearning, recalibrating, whatever, anything that starts with the re.
Mm-hmm. And for mine is too, home. What, how did I see home when I was 13? How did I see home, even though I was talking spiritual home? Because I remember that was I used to have these conversations with my mom saying, I just want to go home. And she said, well, honey, you are home. No, I want to go home. I knew something was missing.
Yeah.
There was this just yearning, aching. I wanted to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a real interesting way to be able to look at that and unpack it and journal about it. I mean, and you can do it with the automatic writing, and you can ask questions with the automatic writing. Write a question at the top of the page. What do these ages, when I was, this age, this age, this age, and this age, all have in common?
Yeah, and I said that on the Patreon with my Patreon people, Spearhead, and I got confirmation in watching another video. These times are very big for you to do journaling, so that's a nice plug for Kathy D. If you're having some needs of some topics or things that you need to do, this is really time for you to get out. Because I know even with me, I have not been professed to be a journal person. Per se, most of the time I kind of keep it out. I like to talk about it, or I blog about it, or I podcast or whatever, and talk to you guys about it. But it was like, no, I think you need to try another strategy. So let's now write about it. So now every night that I go before I go to bed, I start to write out all the feelings or whatever it is that's going out for the day. This is very important for you to integrate that practice into your thing during these times, to really see, putting pen on paper to see, oh, this is how I'm really feeling. Oh, this is what's actually going on. That's another way for you to be able to really revisit what's going on with through writing. So I think that, again, like I said, if you need topics or anything like that, you can hit up Kathy D to say, what should I don't know. I can hear somebody say, well, I don't know what really I should be doing. But right now, it should just be a conscious of getting it out, whatever is happening with the day. Be surprised about what things is going on with you that you need to kind of like, blah, blah, I got to get it out of me, instead of you carrying that with you. As well, and then let the theme kind of go on, and maybe, you know, is it good for you to also, when you're journaling, to go back over it, what you're doing with it, or is it good to, like, if you're journaling, just to just put it out there and then that's it?
Actually, when you're doing like the automatic journaling or automatic writing, it's always good to finish and then close it, and then like Michael suggests midday.
Okay.
Some people suggest the next day.
Okay.
I guess it depends on what you're asking, because he actually, I swear the man's got Capricorn in him, even though he's not. But get to the back of his book. He actually has it set up. Make sure I have the right book. Yes. Come on. Here it is. He has it set up in like a chart. And it's 30 days of automatic writing. So you can follow it, because people do get discouraged because they feel, well, I'm not getting anything.
Right.
And you actually are, because it even though it's not, you might not get anything on paper, it's adjusting your vibration. You're learning to trust your intuition. You're learning to trust your feelings. You know that you are connecting with your higher self, with your higher power. And he talks in here about how to know when it's ego, how to know when it's not. So there aren't those kind of confusing questions. But he says, you know, you write AM write, you know, done. And it says, you know, how many minutes, and then midday read. So he suggests reading at midday, and then he sometimes writes again at night. Always suggests writing in the morning because of that half awake state. But now if you work crazy hours or something, you have to kind of switch it around or however. But he always asks you to start with these 3 questions, which is, what do I need to know today? Who am I? And what is my SMP, my single-minded purpose for the day? And so he says those things stay with you, but then you go back and read it midday, and it kind of gets you right back onto your path. Yeah.
Okay. So that's really writing in 2 things. You got one thing to maybe just to unload about what happened.
Right. And that's kind of like the brain dump.
One is the one that you're talking about. Is more so like, okay, what's the messages that spirit is bringing me for, so I can have the intentions for the day, and then just put it, close it, and then in the middle of the day, look back again at the journal and seeing what did you write for that. Okay.
And now if you're writing like on relationships, like say that you're going back and you're revisiting something that has bothered you, or why does this bother you? Why does Aunt Ethel get on my last nerve? The woman, you know, I can't remember the woman ever doing anything to me, but these are the things that drive me crazy. And you journal about it, and you're just writing all the instances, and then you go back. That's a good one to let sit.
Yeah, that's what.
And then go back and read it. And then usually when you go back and read it, you have a little bit of insight to, you start going, ooh, I do that. Yeah, that. Ooh, or ooh, my mom does that too.
Okay.
Oh, that 2nd grade teacher always did that. Oh, and you start to see the things that bother you and why, that might not have anything to do with Ethel, who is the sweetest person in the world.
Right.
And she just rubs you wrong, and you don't know why. And you've tried everything in the world to like her, because she is such a loving and caring person. And when you go back and you journal those things, and then you start to say, oh, that's something I don't like in myself.
Right.
That's, you know, she gets that little bit of spittle right there in the corner of her mouth, you know, it just, and it can be little things like that, you know, that reminds me of that, you know, crossing guard that used to yell at me, or what, you know, whatever, her perfume, or, and then, so that wouldn't be one of them that we would just, you know, leave and burn.
Okay.
Leave and burn are usually like brain dumps, because if you ever try to read those, a lot of times it brings up a lot of trauma.
Oh.
Because when we are just brain dumping and we're just writing, And usually it's just on a topic and we just write and we just let our brains go and we just hop from topic to topic. There's no grammar, there's no punctuation. It's just one big, huge run on sentence.
Okay.
And usually it's getting out hurt, trauma, anything like that. So those are usually the ones that we just at the end thank, the powers that be, whoever, and ask them to be released. No harm, harm to none.
Okay.
Because usually when you do that brain dump, sometimes you can say some really mean things about people that you really don't want to happen, but it's just all about purging it out.
Yeah.
And so you just ask for none of that, to take all of that angst and stuff and release it to the universe and have them transform it back down into love. And those are the ones you burn.
Okay.
And just release them up, because you don't want to reread those, because a lot of times you can be like, well, what was that? Now I remember. And then it can kind of take you down the wrong rabbit hole.
Okay. So I must be doing a lot of brain dumping. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I used to let a lot of pain out like that when I was a teenager, when I first read about all the different types and automatic writing, and I did it with yes and no questions for higher self type stuff. So you just kind of have your pen on your paper and you're going back and forth, just kind of up and down. And I write in cursive anyway, so it wasn't like a stretch for me. Because one of the things with automatic writing is you want the pen to be touching as long as it can be,
as much as possible.
Without any dotting or crossing, all the stuff. So the yes and no in terms of cursive, when you're just asking questions, it's almost like using a pendulum as well. So once you've gotten to yourself in a comfortable state where you can do that, and it's not ego, right? Then you can start doing some really nice yes and no questions for your for your higher self too.
And when I was younger, when I was like 19, through my angel writing, and I've shown you all my angel books, there's a whole series on there, being able to ask questions to your angels, to your guardian angel, and get their name. And they'll open up and they'll tell you their name and things like that. So then you have that direct contact. And mine is Ariel. And so, which is quite funny because my youngest child loves Little Mermaid. I think that's quite humorous when I think about it. But it's, so I could start my question off, dear Ariel, or dear Archangel Michael, or Raphael, or whoever Metatron, whoever I was needing to call in for their help. That's who I would start, writing to. And I would find the deeper you go into that state and that meditation, it doesn't happen right away, but your handwriting changes. Actually, my other partner in crime, Tammy, she and I have had texts where, if anybody knows me, I can't spell my way out of a wet paper bag. I can't. I have dyslexia. I just can't do it. I have to really work hard. Spell check is your friend. But I don't remember, one night we were talking about something, and it came over me, and it was like almost a whole paragraph, and it was all typed and spelled correctly and everything, and was not phrases I have ever used before. And it had just been channeled in. So we'll see that with the automatic writing, as you get further into it, that the handwriting will change. The phrases will change when you are bringing in your higher self. And they do that so and we know that, angels don't speak English. Everybody says that, and it's a feeling. But when they bring us those words, and we're channeling, if you're channeling, past ancestors, so you can write in a dialect. In the book, this is another one of my books I just finished, Soul Writing. She used the channeling and the automatic writing to do past life regression. And so she was able to become in touch with herself in a past life in England. And that one, she would write with a certain pen. So you've got to find the right pen that feels good, the right weight, the right paper, the right it's just got to be special to it. So we're not just
a ritual.
It is, and like you said, we've got to have these rituals in our lives. We've got to bring these back. Tammy
So
just said she
whether
thought it was someone else that when we were texting.
so
Okay.
whether you pick writing or you pick dancing or you pick art,
Mhm.
find your particular flow about it, but make it the same so that everything kind of just automatically, it's like muscle memory.
Right.
Your mind's like, okay, she's doing these activities, we're preparing to go into this state. Or he's done this and this, he closed the door, he put on his lucky socks, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But he's preparing to get into the automatic writing mode, and your brain will quick into it faster and faster. I told you guys a long time ago that I was lucky to have a period in my life where I could meditate up to like 3 or more hours per day. I would literally sit in meditation and do different forms of meditation to break my mind down, right? Because my mind was it's still very strong, very stubborn, but I would break myself down in different ways and then do karmic burning and all this other stuff. But there was a point where if I sat down, like I was hanging out with my friends, if I sat down in like a, what do you call it, cross-legged position, I would automatically go into meditation. And then they'd be like, okay, well, she's off for a little bit. Let's go ahead and do something. And then, and then they would know that I would come back. But my friend was, I asked her, I said, what would happen? I don't really remember much of those times. And she said, you would just sit down and you would go off in meditation and we would understand. And then you would come back. Because I was going through a lot of processing. So just beware. Like, yes, we're getting you in that state, but we're also saying keep it specialized, keep it sacred in its own little thing. Like your automatic writing pen is for automatic writing.
Mm-hmm.
Your automatic writing journal is for automatic writing.
Yeah,
Not
don't
your
flip it
everyday
over
journal.
and then do your grocery list in there or anything, no.
What?
And I like to have the burn and dump journal just be one of those small, like $1, $2 ones where you can just write a couple pages, flip it, and rip them out and burn them. And then you have your keeper journal. It's a little bit nicer that you're going to keep longer.
Right.
And you know what? A lot of it is your preference too. If you like writing on unlined paper, if you like writing on lined paper, if you like using a fountain pen, if you like using a marker, there are certain people that want to do it instead of this is portrait, and this would be landscape.
Right.
People write landscape and they write in marker, and they want to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. There are no rules to how you do it. If you want to go from corner to corner, right from corner to corner, there is one psychiatrist and psychologist that does a lot of studying on this. He studies the parts of your brain that light up as you do automatic writing.
Okay.
That's fascinating because your two frontal lobes are what, when we write anything creative, that's what lights up. That's what gets warm. That's where the color red goes. But when you're doing automatic writing, those shut down.
Oh.
So automatic writing also is kind of a way to give your brain a rest. But so he changes it up on depending on what he's talking about. If he's talking about something scientific, he uses his marker and he uses his paper long ways. If he's asking a question about his life or how things are going to turn out, or more on the personal, not the professional, he uses a glitter gel pen.
Oh.
And so you can even switch them up. It doesn't have to always be the same. Some people just like a notebook. There might be something about a composition notebook. Maybe you absolutely loved your language arts teacher in high school or in elementary school, or somebody, and you love the feel of it. You love the smell of it. You just love them. And that's what you write in. Other people, you can go and spend, hundreds of dollars on a leather bound journal, just make sure that it's something that you can take with you, because once you get into this, once you get into this, this is something that you travel with, because you do it every day.
Yeah, that's so funny, because the other day I was starting a journal. I said, I need me another journal book. I had some other ones. I know a lot of people give me a lot of journal books after a while, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything, but I found myself doing what you're saying, the nose, putting a list of things like I want this. I said, what the heck? This is for journal. What am I doing? It's not sacred. And the other day I said, I need me a journal, and I get a box each day of from Liv and Izzy. And I got inside of it. I said, I need another journal. And the very next, within 24 hours, I got inside of the box of my goodies. I got a beautiful, it's like a leather, white and gray. It's got like a little thing on it. Beautiful journal that they had sent me.
Nice.
I said, what is this? I manifest this in 24 hours.
That's the other thing we need to revisit too, is some of the things that we've been told or seen in visions. I remember right after separation, I had been told of an event that would happen, and it was like 3 years down the road. And up until just today, we had pretty much been told that that event was not going to happen. They were not going to do that. That was not something that they would ever go back and do again. And I got word that the person has changed their mind and they are going to do it. So it's like I now have that, it's that confirmation that, you know, I had gotten 3 years ago saying that I was going to get to see this happen.
Mm-hmm.
I am now going to get to see this happen.
Yeah. Just like what I was explaining about I guess we call it miracles, but miracles again is really, you already were lined up for it, but you had all this other kind of stuff that was going on that was blocking you for you not to believe that you could be able to get this thing. And I call it, that's when source just overrides it and say, okay, we're going over all this gook and gunk, and we're still going to give it to you anyway, because you're already destined to have that thing. But we do it, we call it a miracle, but we were already lined up for that too. So yeah, that's your miracle, but you were already destined for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how long it took Kathy D to break down her own mind, because she is one of the most strong-willed women I've ever met in my life. Instant manifester, but also hardcore blocker, like ninja status blocker. So took her 3 years.
It did.
With the Taurus rising, she a kid.
All that, yeah, that bullheaded, all that groundedness there. That.
But that means she could have anything she wants as soon as she puts her mind to it. So anybody send in their request to Pineapple Fish Life Coaching. Have her write something into the universe for you.
Do I hear my doorbell? No, that wasn't it.
It is. The doorbell's ringing on your new place.
Yeah. There you go.
No, they better be driving the U-Hauls, all I know. But
no, you're gonna get all these cool gifts and random pineapple and fish pieces of art.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I see it.
I have my flamingos. Gotta have my flamingos. But.
Her little aquarium office.
Come in. And it's just fish going back and forth.
Well, you know, one of the things I have always said all my life, and you know, my mom would say it too. Oh, if I could only go back in time to whatever time, knowing what I know now.
Oh Lord, yes.
And you know what? You have to be careful what you say, because I went back.
I think she agrees.
I checked some texts from about 3 years ago, and I had the identical conversation last night, but knowing what I know now, my responses weren't out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
My responses were out of playfulness and being open to ideas and being able to play and not take things so personally, even though I've still, and Benita will tell you, I am still absolutely whooped to the whole idea of, you know, flirting, anything like that. I'm like, what does that mean, man? But, you know, so she had to break it down for me and tell me what all that meant. But I didn't go through it in fear as I did 3 years ago. So those kind of opportunities are coming up too, to see if we've learned our lesson. Are we going to be put back into situations we've been in? And are they going to throw us back into that fear or that unknowing? Now, my unknowing came afterwards when I read it, and I thought, well, that's the way I feel about this. Am I right or wrong? May I phone a friend on this one? But it was, and she did. She just confirmed what I felt and what I knew.
But it's beautiful, right? Because your knowing was stronger than your fear, which in the past, the fear was stronger than our belief or our trust in ourselves. So the going back, the remembering, the retrograde season is really for us to strengthen our resolve in who we are and what our power is.
Yep.
And thankfully, we have soul family, soul brothers and sisters, someone to call up on or email or check in with to keep us in alignment. Because, you know, yes, there are times where none of us are absolutely 100% perfect in our highest self at all times.
No,
did you know that?
I had a test. I epically failed. I went right on back to the old me, and I was like, I'll be damned. I'm a leader on the show, and I messed up and went and did the same thing that I didn't even talk on my show about not doing, and I did it any damn way. But you know, hey, you just
same thing with me and clarity. I was not being clear. I was super vague, and some DM called me out and was like, what you said made absolutely no sense. And I was like, oh, I was in such a nice little bubble where I thought everybody understood every word of my esoteric bullshit. But thank you for calling me out on that. And now I know how to ask with more clarity.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, nah.
Well, I'll tell you, Benita learned today to make it plain, make it clear. And good grief, if her sign wasn't plain and clear, am I not right on that one? But the thing is, even though you make a really good point, Divine Sunshine, you know, you look and you go, oh, I just did the same thing I've always done.
Oh, did.
But you caught it.
Right.
It's different.
You caught it, and it's different. You could, because when you originally did that, you didn't realize where you were operating out of.
True.
The fact that you did it and then caught it, you go, up, I was operating out of fear, and that's not what I want. Cancel that, strike it, you know, Control, Alt, Delete. Let's get rid of that universe. I see. And that's when you offer it up and you say, hey, I see what my lesson was.
Right.
And I see where I need to work. And I have learned from this lesson because I got it.
Right.
So it's not a, complete failure because you did learn from it and you were able to identify it quickly.
Yeah. It was epic, because it was like epic. There we go back again into that old thing. It's still talking. And then that's what it helped me to know that I needed to get new strategies as far as me
water
with that issue.
You want water? Here, why?
And like you said, that's what it is. It's all about is this learning. Again, like you say, all control, delete, all that kind of stuff, to get myself back on track on that. And that's what it came about. It's like, okay, we can't fall back, and I can't be seeing that stuff reflected even into the DM either. Because if I say I've grown, then he's got to grow too as well. So that was
there's a lot of guilt that's coming up and a lot of pressure for the self when we make mistakes.
Yeah.
And like that's part of the beauty of the process. And it sucks because you can't be at the end to be like, whoo, I sure do love retrospect, right? Because you're going through it. But think of a time when retrospect was available. Think of a time when change actually happened and it was okay. There was a mistake made, but everything still went through just as planned. And if we can get to that state of accepting, like, we don't have to know how it's going to happen. We just know it's going to happen. We don't have to know how our wealth is manifested. We just know that we're carrying it. And once we act and follow and flow, then we attract it, right? We're stepping toward it just as it's stepping towards us. So even when we make that mistake, it's like, would you stop loving a child because they didn't know how to tie their shoe the first time right away? No. Yeah. You would definitely keep on and be like, encouraging them, maybe even tie their shoe for them, and that's how the universe is with us. It's like they might get frustrated and just tie the shoe for us.
Yeah. And Tony Robbins uses the most wonderful example. And as a life coach, I just truly think he's amazing. But he talks about when your kid's learning to walk, if they don't get it in 2 days, you don't look at them and go, sit down. You're not going to get this.
Right.
We keep encouraging them, and you made a little step. Oh, yay.
Right.
We're not like, sit down, you're done. You're not a walker. You're just
Right.
not going to do it.
Let's just come to it. Hey, walking is
green.
just not in the cards for you.
Yeah, you're just not going to walk. I don't know what to tell you.
It's just not. Let's just come to that. But yeah, you know what? Again, with us, we are really just the worstest critics for ourselves. We're more generous and more understanding and more compassionate about others than we are for ourselves. And that's what I pretty much said on all the time on the channel about that we've got to learn how to use that compassion, be that good girlfriend to ourselves, be that good friend to ourselves. Here's I got notifications say true, which is we have to be able to do that for ourselves, and we don't. And this is really the time to, like, hey, when you make a little boo-boo like I did, to say don't constantly keep on overthinking, especially when we have a person like myself that goes into that thinking thing, and I'm trying to turn it over several times and say, oh, I'm gonna find a good voice with number 9.
I was still like giving the comebacks, right? It's like 3 hours later. I got a comeback.
Right.
Ready?
Right. So you gonna sit your ass down.
You want to call them up and go, oh, and by the way, let me tell you. Remember when you said, this is what I meant to say.
Right. And then going back and forth and even have a comeback on my own self. And you know what? And you should have did. And it's like, okay, wait a minute else. So, it's just too much. And so that's what we have to get to the point now they're saying about that. Those energies is just to be gentle with yourself. I seen that I did mess up. I do see that I just jumped crazy. And that, again, that it wasn't the way it wasn't seen. We have to, again, like say, watch it, especially with these retrogrades, with this over exaggeration of things on the outside. We see things that are over magnified and blown out of proportion, that we really have to step back and say, okay, did we really see what we see? Or either just don't see it and don't handle it right now, because what you see in your eyesight is very miscued right now. And so that's where we kind of at too as well. And so that's why what happened, I kind of but again, like I said, I'm handling it a little better. I'm glad that we did have that point of separation, because I know I probably would have given a nice little piece of my mind. But like, now we going all the way back. We didn't rewind the back time like a little too far. So that was what was needed. And so then I can reset myself to say, okay, let it go, let it flow, and let's just go on. As a matter of fact, I did state it in a nicer way to the DM, and he got my point, and then we just moved on from that. At that point, we would have had this going back and forth. So that's it. So, like I said, it was a process that I had to work through, and seeing that the good thing that I seen, okay, you're reverting back, and that's not where we want to go. We want to move forward.
Well, and two, with us seeing things, like you said, everything in our physical eyes, not our third eye, but our physical eyes, we're seeing so much distorted, and it's,
my eyes are down here.
But then we also have to remember and keep in mind, when you're dealing with people that are not in their highest vibration.
Yeah.
Especially if you're dealing with someone that is narcissistic. Mm-hmm. Everything's going to be blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
Sure. You painted your toenails. Who are you painting your toenails for? Me, because I don't want to see my, So everything is blown out of proportion. And in those situations, no matter if they're just in distorted energy or if they're full-fledged, like narcissistic, or just the tendencies. Now, to be narcissistic is a very rare part of the population, and they have to be diagnosed by a psychiatrist. But a lot of people have those tendencies, and it comes from a lot of times from trauma, not giving them an excuse, okay? Mm-hmm. But just explaining the two different levels. The best thing to do is not to respond. We don't play into their ego. You just, it's no response. It's, you do the gray rock or the shuddy, just nothing. You show absolutely
there's
no
this verse
concern.
that's coming up for me that's like, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
What they do, right? Mm-hmm. Do better, they will do better.
Yeah. And you don't play into it. You don't make it, it's a molehill. You don't turn it into, Mount Rushmore. You you don't play into it. And now that does make them upset.
Yes,
And they get over it quicker, because then they kind of see on their own, well,
No, they're building it themselves,
right,
for the most part,
because you've not had any part of it.
yeah.
So if you're dealing with anybody in distorted energy, and I mean that even goes for,
us
people.
from time to time, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
No, that's
We
true.
get super triggered. We all get triggered. And it's like, okay, this, because I'm really about this golden life, right? I have so much compassion for people that I know that they have compassion for me. And whether they're consciously aware of it, right? Because sometimes the triggering can trigger others into their trigger self, right? And then we go trigger, and it's a gun show, right? And we don't want to. We don't want.
Yeah, we don't want the gun and knife show.
So, that being the bigger person, that being the compassionate person, the divine compassion. Again, I'll point us to Esoterica's twinning. That one was a really, really nice one in terms of getting to a point of divine compassion, getting to a space of connection. And it is a twin focused channel, but anyone can get in this connection with their highest self. Anyone can get into a space of divine compassion.
And we can call on our higher selves. And I know Divine Sunshine's talked about doing this and other things, especially like, I believe it was the sale of your parents' home with the one lady from the bank, and you just called in her higher self and say, okay, we're going to talk about this. Now, in the middle of, if they are in a rage, you can't really pull in their higher self at that point, because there's so much distorted energy around them. And that's just where
I think I should go to the bathroom.
Right. You have to just step away. Yeah. Some people are going to think you got a bladder infection.
No, sorry.
That was an example of what you would do.
For
those of you who,
okay.
I tend to be real thick sometimes. I mean, like, I be talking and I realize everyone understands me. It's like, no, you just sound wacky. Okay, it's okay.
I got you. Okay.
I'm helping those brothers that told me yesterday that I was, incomprehensible. But I'm so unbelievable. Anyway,
I'm too deep for you.
At that point,
it's too deep. Okay, go.
At that point, once you sprinkled the fairy dust and they've calmed into a different state, then let's call in there.
but in the height of it,
yes.
If you feel yourself, you all of a sudden, that mouth, you've been trying to keep it closed, and that nerve has been hit.
You're literally checked out, and you're just like,
yeah, you're like, no, he didn't. Yeah, your eyes get big, and it's like,
Do you know how many yo mama jokes I have ready for this? No.
That's when you need to call in your angels and your soul team and your tribe, and just call them in. And Benita will tell you there are times she's come in, and then I'll get a message later on in the night. You okay now? So like she'll feel it and come to me to keep my mouth shut. And so, but call on these, just like we've said weeks before, our angels, think of them like sitting in a dugout, these great big guys, like angels in the outfield with these huge wings. And they're just sitting there like, come on, call me, pick me,
call me in. Just call.
Yeah. Or think of the little kid in class that everybody always gave the dirty looks to, the little kid that, me. Sit down and shut up, little Johnny. And all the teachers are like, please, anybody answer this question but that kid. If I hear his voice again, I'm going to scream. But
this is not spiritual bypassing. This is acceptance and alchemization for change, right? Because we're all about sustainable changes. And these are all going to be real life scenarios that you most likely have already encountered and will encounter. Because unlike your counterparts or people you are interacting with, they don't necessarily have the soul group and the ties for the higher consciousness that you do. Now, if you're listening to this, you're in the upper echelon of understanding this type of paradigm in the spiritual world. Now, dealing with the 3D aspect, it takes some time to develop the strength, the mental fortitude to realize that all this is happening at once. One of the things I like to do when situations are getting out of control is I step back. So you have a what do you call that? Peripheral vision. There's the word. Peripheral vision. And it goes so far. So like that is what I want to say is my conscious reality. Even though I know there is more behind me at XYZ, you can pull yourself into that energetic space and be observant, almost like third party omniscient. Like we're now the narrator of the story. April was in the bank about to tell off this woman. Let's see what happens.
Confirmation. So when did this happen?
What happened was I said, I understand that you are not trying to do this type of activity to me. This has to do with the bureaucracy and the system in which you are built. I understand that. Do you hear what I am saying so I can feel heard? And she repeated back to me what I needed to hear. Yes, you understand. Okay. Yes, you understand that I have empathy for you and your situation and you are just doing your job. And now we will gracefully part, and things that were going to take originally 48 hours now are going to take you 2. And that's kind of like the additional confirmation. So when you are asking these questions of the universe or you're looking forward, you get immediate confirmation, which is beautiful, right? When you're working with people's higher selves, divine sunshine, how does the confirmation work for you?
Well, I pretty much see either the phone or chime or either that part I'm working with, and I actually see them do what I actually talk to their higher selves to do. That's my confirmation. When I work with people's higher self, like with the kids, like I said, okay, now, okay, I'm trying to talk to you, so you go back in this classroom, so you start acting like you got some sense. Okay, so I really need for your higher self to work with me as I'm talking to you. Or I might have a kid that don't talk to me, they just standing there and they're mad, and I have to say, okay, well, you're not answering me. Okay, so now let me start talking to your higher self, and then I start talking to the higher self, and then before I know it, their 3D self will start talking to me. Okay, I'm gonna start the conversation over again. Okay, now who was at fault? Did you hit that person? Okay, well, was you the one that actually started it? Yeah, I was the one that actually started. Then I get me confirmation that I've been actually working and talking to that person or the little kid's higher self to their 3D self. That's usually how I can get the confirmation. They actually start doing what I told them to do or what I'm talking them to do.
Now, she is a seasoned, practiced person talking to people's higher selves.
Yeah.
And it took a level of practice to even get her to be open to communicate with someone's higher self, right? Because she had to be in tune with her own higher self. So having patience with yourself along the process, unveiling to yourself all of and like pat yourself on the back when you get a confirmation. Actually acknowledge it. Don't push that away. That's an ego thing. Right? Oh, well, no, it's no reason to slow yourself down. Don't slow yourself down. We've been doing that for too long. This is retrograde season. Regain your power. Exactly. You know the power of yourself. So I wanted to do this little ditty for another thing. You guys remember the good old stuff, but we could do it together.
Yes.
So this will be our the water. So how do you guys like to do it? How do you guys like to, well, for transurfing, right? We're going to manifest, we're going to hop paradigms. This is a physical act to represent a linear timescape, right? Because we're multiple dimensions, multiple realities we can create. And because we're mostly water, this is going to give us the messages to step us in line with the future we want to create.
Right.
Let's do it together. I want some instruction. Tell me what to do.
Well, I know the one way that I remember, I don't know where you got it from, you pour and you look at your intention. Well, one of them I know it was a lady's top, but you put your Post-its. So you put the ones that you don't want on one of them, which would be the water, and the one that you do want it on, you put the other Post-it on the other cup. And then you pour it into your intentions of what you want into the other cup, into that one, and then she said you drink it at the end, so you become one, like you alchemize, you become one with that your future self. Now that's one, the cup method that I've seen.
And see, the one I know is where you take the water in your hands and you put both hands around the cup and you like manifest into the water.
Okay.
And what you're wanting. But then there's also the way where you you take it and maybe it's a situation that you're in and you think of that situation and you take that glass of water and you pour it onto the ground. You have to be outside. Don't do it in your house. You pour it on the ground and then you get your other glass of water and you manifest into that and you give thanks to it and then you drink that one.
Yeah, and then I know another way in the one that we do for the past life regression for the BQH, we call it water alchemy. And before they do their session for the hypnosis for past life regression, you sit there with the water and you sit there with your intentions and you put your left hand, your right hand over the water, and you set your intentions. We say a word together and then we drink the water. That was another way for water alchemy ceremony.
Okay, well, excellent. I'm glad we're all doing this together. So, and since I gave a homework assignment at the beginning of this, for the end of this episode, for seed mantras for us to create and manifest this week. So while we are coming up with our seed mantras, I like, you said it was ease and grace was theirs. As I would like... love and abundant love. Yeah. Ooh. Abundant love.
I like that.
My big love. Yeah. What about you guys? What would you like?
I like abundant.
I'm doing it for all of us.
I'm steal that. No. I'm steal that for 200.
It's not stealing if you're everything. Everything is you.
I'm in alignment with that. Sorry, I think I'm on a game show. I'll tell you, 200, Alex.
How about you, Kathy V?
I don't know. It would almost be abundant prosperity.
Abundant prosperity. Ooh, I felt that. Whoa. See, that's what I'm saying. Kathy V, email her your request.
Abundant prosperity.
And yes, it does have the intention in love.
Yes, we got one in here. We got one add into the cup.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love and humility.
Beautiful. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, you guys, I'm tearing up over here. This water's good. It's already trying to leak out of my body. I haven't even got it.
I'm already processing and alchemizing it and turning into tears of love and joy.
And because I love to jump the paradigm sequence, I like the idea of stepping into a new era with all of that goodness we just put into the water, that gratitude, that love. And now I'm going to drink it. Who's going to play that Benny Hill song?
Yeah. Yay!
Who feels on the other side?
Yes. That's a good one. And that is a good note to end on right there. All right, what's happening with the community tab? What's going on? What's happening in our world? Starting with you, Miss April. Since you were there, we're going to reverse. I always go to Kathy B, so I'm going to do you first. What's going on in your world?
Oh, me?
Anything? Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I always go first. No, I'm just kidding.
I usually hit up Kathy.
A whole lot. The first 14-day beta program went really, really well.
Yes,
right now, I'm working on a 6-week program.
Okay.
And I'll be putting that up on my website. I'll also be putting it on my Facebook page. I'll be also putting it on my Insta. So I'm starting to integrate my platforms and exploring for more. We've got the Yoni Steam activities going on. A nice self-love romantic package that I'm building with the Yoni Steams. The King Steams for clearing out sexual trauma and any other past life stuff that males are working with. That's going to also be on my website. And, if you need any type of deep clearing or energy work, we all do different forms. So, and we also have our package, which is like still choice. Honestly, I would want to work with all of us. I'm like, I know me. I'm awesome. But these ladies, wait, am I doing it? I'm not even close. That's it.
There you go.
that took way too much. Thank you, retrograde. I can't even point my finger anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm working on right now.
Okay, all right, let me find yours. I know you're here. Are you about the first one? There you are.
So yes.
Okay, there you go. What's happening with you, Kathy, today?
I am working on a course right now, and then it will be going into kind of a workshop after that, and we're going to be talking about, again, women that have been in abusive relationships, and not limiting it to physical, going into the emotional, verbal, financial, all these different things, and especially those that have children and girls, and breaking that generational bond with that, and letting them see how to have healthy relationships as well as their mother, and working through those. So that's going to be coming up probably. I'm hoping to have it up and ready to go before June 22nd.
Yeah, baby.
Yes.
Guess who's going to be your accountability pusher?
Well, because June 22nd is when it all started happening for me.
Myself.
Okay, gotcha. What's that?
Oh, yes. It started happening for you on June 22nd?
That was my anniversary.
Oh, wow.
All right then. Yeah. How about that's really transmuting.
And I got out, and I want to help others to get out with grace and dignity, and
no murder charges.
Right. I haven't gotten all the way out, but there might be a donation button there waiting for bail money. But
no, we ain't gonna put that out there. No. Grace and ease. That's the word of the street now. Grace and ease now.
Yeah.
Unconditional love, humility,
yes,
perseverance.
Yeah, grace and ease.
Keep your mouth shut.
So, of course, yes, our big thing is the June 6th,
yes.
6th event, which is at 2 p.m. Central Time, where we're having the Doubling Down on Love event. Very excited about that. That's in 1 week that's coming up. So please make sure that you are here. It is free. It's virtually. Usually it's going to probably be 6 hours.
What are you doing?
You can come in and out when you want to. But again, we're going to have great speakers coming on. Angel Simmons, who is going to be talking about the narcissistic abuse, how you can be able to fall back in love again with yourself, and that trusting and building that again. We got Kathy D, of course. She's coming on. April Williams is going to be there. You got also myself. You got we got Benita. We got also, who else am I missing? Sean Barker is going to be there talking as well. Deborah Risper is going to come on too, about talking about businesses and her being a serial entrepreneur, how we can fall in love with being in business. And then we also have Diana, who is Yogi for Life. She's going to be supplying us with the yoga, because she always instilled with me, which I think is great, where you get the information, but you need to move the body as well, so you can be able to integrate all all that good stuff. So we got a lot of great speakers that are coming to talk to you about this doubling down for love, because especially what's going on with the retrograde trying to get you back, so that when we get out of it, we'll be ready and say, okay, I want love. Who wants to fall in love? Who wants to have the love of their life in whatever avenue that it is? Y'all didn't raise your hand, so y'all must don't want it. So all right, I raised my hand. So again, so if you want that, you want to make sure that you are part of it and that you are there. So they say be there or be squared.
And this is the time to definitely do it, because we know for those of us that are on this journey and are getting closer and closer, that big things are going to start happening July, August, and September.
Yeah.
That has been made very, very clear.
Very clear, right? Yeah. So those are the.
Did anybody else just make a diamond? I mean, their butt just go like that. Anyway.
No, I was kind of loose or whatever.
I was just like, okay.
I was kind of loose. I thought that meant I was open and receptive. But anyway, yeah.
Prosperity.
So you want to make sure that you are there for that. I got other stuff. Mostly the big thing I'm pushing is for the podcast, to make sure that you're going on any of the podcasts that's streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio. Those are my favorites. Spotify, iHeartRadios, and Podbean. Make sure that you're coming to check that out and checking out what I have on there, because I got content on there that's not twin flame, but it's more of a general. So it's still twin flame talk, but it's hidden behind it is more of a divine. So everybody can be able to apply those things, and anybody from any type of walk of life can be able to apply our twin flame or divine concepts and principles to their walk of life in basic life. So that's what I have there. So I'm pushing that as well. Oh, starting in June, but that's not now. We'll probably talk about that next one. Come on. Then I'm going to have a special where you can check in your GPS specials of readings, where it's a 3-card draw where you get to check in and see what's going on with your divine cohort, so you know specifically where they are and where you can be able to take that information and know what's the next planning stage that you need to do in order for you to be able to have union. Okay, with your person or with yourself. You might say, I got some work still I got to be done. You don't sound like you ready. Or yeah, he sounds like you're really ready. Let me get my stuff together. So that's where I'm going to be supplying and helping that out. All right then. So as always, make sure you click like, share, and subscribe to this channel as well, so we can get out this stuff. Please, I tell you, YouTube is our friend. And so we want to make sure that our friend understand that we're here to work with them as well. And they've got to work with us as we work with them. So in order for them to get that message, we need to comment, we need to like, we need to share, we need to subscribe on all of our channels. That's either myself or Kathy D's channel, April's as well, when she's putting up content, because again, YouTube is in a very friendly mood, and so we want to remind them to kind of stay friendly at all times with ease and grace. That's the word of the day. All right then, Kathy D, get us on out of here.
All right. Well, empty all the virtual sand out of your shoes and socks. Make sure you take your own sand toys home. Leave it better than you found it, and wishing you your best life ever. See you real soon.
Yes, and yes, April Williams.
Stay blessed, stay golden, and remember, you were made for this golden life.
All right, and always stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascending. Namaste, namago. And as always, love you. Mwah. And we'll be talking to you real soon on the playground.